allow his people that he had chosen, that he had brought out of the land of Egypt, to die in the wilderness or to be out in the wilderness for 40 years, and that generation from the age of 20 and up, the word says, allowed them to die. Absolutely. Well, that doesn't sound like a merciful and loving God, right? Well, let's take a step back. Why is it that God did this? Well, this goes into a little report that these spies had made. Amen? When they came and they seen the land, it was overflowing with milk and honey. Yes, it had grapes, it had figs, it had this, it had that. Yeah, but there were fortresses that were set up. There were strongholds. There were cities, in other words, that were well fortified. Look at Jericho. Amen? Yeah. These walls were massive. Hello? And they're not the only ones. There were many cities that were well fortified. There were people there that were giants. Yes, there were these things. But the Lord said that the land is yours. I've given it to you. Just go up and possess it. He promised them that they would have this land. He promised them, just go up and take it. It's yours. The battle's already fought. The battle's already won. The enemy's delivered into your hands. You can go to the book of Joshua and see what should have taken place before, where the hearts of the men melted because they knew the God that they served. They had heard the stories that God had brought these people out of Egypt. And how did he do it? They knew about it. They knew about the plagues. They knew about the river turning to blood. They knew about the gnats. And they knew about the frogs. They knew about the darkness that came and took the life of every firstborn, from the Pharaoh down to the handmaiden and every beast of the field. They knew about that. And when they knew the God that did all that, it comes with these people, they were afraid. I'm preaching Joshua.
Amen.
But they knew. So if the people were to have had faith to go up and claim this land, it would have already been theirs. And that 40 years would have been bypassed.
Yes.
But they were given an evil report. Because these men didn't want to go to war. They came and said, no, it's terrible. You don't want to be here. It's not what you think. There are giants. We're like grasshoppers to them. We stand up to their ankles. These are giants. You can't go in there to fight them. And you know what happened? Question. Did the people of God turn against, or did the Israelites turn against the men of God that told them the true report and tried to kill them? Absolutely. When Caleb and Joshua had enough, I think I called Joshua Joseph at one point, forgive me. Man, I got excited. When they had heard these things, and they held back and they couldn't anymore. It says that they tore their garments. They couldn't deal with it. They're like, no, this land is good. This land is overflowing with milk and honey. Yes, it is ours for the taking. If only we would just go up there now, we'd be able to possess it. We do serve a merciful God, because if they were to go, He would have provided every single last one of their needs. And we've seen that when they did go in the book of Joshua, He provided every one of their needs. We know that there was a couple incidences after Jericho where the men had took some things that they shouldn't have. Right. Those men had to be put to death. Amen? Right. But the Lord still provided for them. The Lord still protected them.
Yes, He did.
But because of this, because after Caleb and Joshua had explained themselves, yeah, this is good, they picked up stones to kill them. And it's like, I'm blown away. They just gave you the best report. That yes, it's everything that God had promised you and more, and it is ours for the taking. But these guys said something different. Yeah, there were giants in the land, but we can take it. We can overcome them. When they heard that, no, you're foolish. And they picked up rocks to kill them. Lord, the Lord didn't destroy them outright right here. Amen. This is where that He promised them, where He told them, none of you are going to make it into the promised land. because of their lack of faith. Now then, why is it that God didn't kill them and this, that, and the other? Because they had children. It says everybody from the age of 20 and up. These people still had children to take care of. Now then, why is it that those children would be able to be brought up into the land? See, you got to remember where these people came from.
Right.
These people, didn't come from, they came from Egypt. They had been exposed to the customs of the people for so long, where, it had become a part of them. We've seen
Right.
when Moses had went up into the mountains in order to get the 10 Commandments, and when they came back down, the golden calf,
Yeah.
an Egyptian god, you're still going to worship them? This
Yeah.
mentality had to die out
Yes, it
because
did.
God wasn't going to bring it into His promised land. Now, going back to, why was it that so many people were stricken down when people in the New Testament were still doing things like this? They were still sinning against God. They were still doing this, that, and the other. But God never consumed them. God never sent fire. God never, We have to understand that in the presence of God, He demands holiness.
Yes.
Nothing has changed. That's still true because you know what? We can't sin in heaven. There will not be any of it there. God will have nothing to do with it. None of that has changed. He is the same yesterday. He is the same today, and He is the same forever. Amen. And there's no shadow of changing in Him.
Amen.
Now then, let's get to the next one. If I'm not mistaken, it's the 250 men. Yeah, they had their... And then I forgot to mention the people. I forgot to mention the people, or when God spoke this, or when God told Moses that they wouldn't enter into the land, that they would wander for 40 years until all of it says that their bodies were rotting in the wilderness, or decaying, or decomposing, whatever version you read. It wasn't a secret. Moses wasn't the only one that knew this. He told the people what would happen. Hold on, let me read it for you. 12 spies. Where am I at here? God's anger. Amen. That's the evil report, the rebellion. And all the congregation lifted up their voices and cried open and wept, and the people wept the night. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them, Would God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would God we had died in the wilderness? Meaning, what's the difference? I gotta find it. Amen. This is Joshua and Caleb. God's anger. But all the congregation bade. Yeah, this is it. This is chapter 14, starting in the 6th verse. I just want to get into. I want to explain what happened with Caleb and Joshua. And Joshua the son of Nun, and Caleb, which were of them who searched the land, rent their clothes. And they spoke unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, The land which we possess, though to search it, is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delight in us, then He will bring us up into the land and give it to us, a land which flows with milk and honey. Only rebel not against the Lord, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defenses is departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Fear them not. But all the congregation bade stone them with stones. And the glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before the children of Israel. And the Lord said unto Moses, How long will this people provoke me? And how long will be ere they believe me? For all the signs which I have shown among them. I love that, because if there was ever a time that God was to wipe them out, it would have been this time. Amen? I can't understand it. And God Himself even says that they've seen my miracles, that they've seen my wonders, they've seen my provision, they've seen my hand move in so many ways. And He's like, how long do you want me to deal with them?
Right.
Amen? And this is the famous plea that Moses makes with them, where he intercedes and he basically says, These aren't my people, they're yours.
Yeah.
And Moses said unto the Lord, here we go, I will smite them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and will make you a greater nation and mightier than they. Now this was an amazing promise that God had presented to Moses. See, going back to our God being merciful, our God being reasonable, He didn't just do it. He spoke to Moses. He didn't have to. This is God of all creation. The heavens are His throne. The earth is His footstool.